All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take Sharp and Shapiro. So glad you could join us on a Thursday. And we are into week 2 approaching of the college football. And we've got the NFL that's kicking off too as well. So a lot of stuff going on in football if you are a football fan. And right here in our backyard, UNLV with a big game over the weekend against Arkansas State on Saturday at Sam Boyd Stadium. And joining us right now on the line, we are happy to have him on as he joins us weekly here, and very gracious with his time. That is UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez. Coach, thanks so much for coming on. How are you?
What's up, Coach?
Doing great. Just got done with the walkthrough and fired up about the game this weekend.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, Coach. I've been saying this all week. I know the cliche, and I understand it. Every week, every game is just as important, and you look what's in front of you. But is it fair to say that this is one of those games that you mark on your schedule and you say to yourself, if we want to get to where we need to be, which I would imagine would be bowl eligible, this is one of those games where you have to have. You want to win every game, obviously, but isn't this one of those key games? Because you look at when you played Arkansas State last year, it was right in your grasp. And this is a good football team, and you guys did a good job against Southern Utah last week, but this is a good football team coming into Sam Boyd. Isn't this one of those games where you say, man, this is such an important one. You got to get this one.
Yeah, but like you said, I mean, it definitely is cliche saying, they're all important because they really are, especially for a program like ours. Arkansas State would be an upper echelon Mountain West team, so they're very comparable and probably a little bit ahead of a couple of teams in our conference that will play this year. But we were healthy going into that game last year, and we had a dogfight with them. I think weather was definitely impactful to both teams, so I don't think you got to see their offense really go the way they wanted it to, and I don't think you got to see really ours either. There wasn't as much stress put on the defenses in the back end last year because of the weather. So I think one of the key matchups this year is going to be that receiving core they have is very talented, and our receiving core, us evolving that passing game. We're going to have to do it to win this game. But it's a big ball game. It's a good matchup, and it's exciting. I mean, for us again, we want to get to that 13th game, that unscheduled game, and in order to do that, you're going to have to, beat some good football teams, and this is the next one in front of us.
So you had a big win, 56-23 against Southern Utah. What was the most pleasant surprise, in your opinion, about that game? Who kind of surprised you the most?
Well, there was, I'd been talking about Jacoby Wyndham for a long time.
You have.
And I've been kind of bragging about him throughout camp, and he was phenomenal. He had 1.5 sacks, multiple quarterback pressures, a couple of knockdown passes, just a tremendous job for a freshman. Stevie Jenkins was another guy we talked about, and he had a big catch in the game. We're really excited about that. And then just with the rotation we saw on the defensive, Ray Jackson is a good football player. I mean, that was a great late addition. Randall Grimes, didn't see a bunch of him because we weren't stressed to have to throw the ball as much, and we kind of jumped up on him. But, man, his blocking downfield was elite. So there were some really good games by some newcomers.
Armani Rogers, you took him out there in the 4th, I believe, and it looked like he had some cramping, right? But then nothing to be concerned about this weekend?
No, he actually played in the. We took him out during the second series of the third quarter, so he didn't play much at all in the second half. But he did. He cramped up a little bit, and the goal was to have him come out of the locker room, get 2 series, just so he gets used to coming out of the locker room and speeding back up. So we just took him out a little bit earlier just because of that cramping. Kenny came in, but he's 100% fine. He just had a little cramping.
So Arkansas State they're very reliant on throwing the ball. Bonner had 4 touchdowns last week. It looks like a couple of their wide receivers, Kirk Merritt and Dahu Green, are possibly hurt. What do you know about those guys? Are they going to play or not?
That I'm not sure. So Kirk Merritt got a concussion last game. He got drilled pretty good early on in the first quarter, and it looked like he was knocked out. Not really sure. So you never know with concussion protocol. It's, a best case scenario is it's 5 days from that day with no symptoms. So if he was perfect on Sunday, then there's a chance he'll be in the game. But again, I don't know what's going on in their camp over there. And Dahu Green, we just don't know about. So they're a deep receiving core. Watching them last week, you watch, Bayless, who was phenomenal, and some of those other guys. Brandon Bowling did a really good job, caught a bunch, I think 10 balls or something like that. So they got a deep receiving core. Losing those 2 guys definitely hurts them, but they're still deep.
So first couple series for Armani against Southern Utah, I'm sure you would agree, a little bit of a slow start, but I guess you could say that's kind of expected. First game of the year, maybe the nerves are out there, but you guys were able to take advantage of that team, and you were just fine. But is it fair to say you get off to a start like that, your first couple series, unable to get a first down against Arkansas State, they're going to make you pay?
Yeah, they will. I mean, we kind of got off to a slow start last year. We drove the ball down and had a turnover inside the 20-yard line, and they came out early and scored right away. It took us a minute to catch our win, and then we were able to, take the lead a little bit later on. So it's one of those deals where whatever happens, you just can't panic out there. I mean, if you could go up and get up with 14 points, and that can disappear in 2 seconds.
Right.
So you just got to really make sure you do a good job tempering it. Now, having said that, we'd like to have a better start. Now, one of the things, it wasn't just our mind, but they came out, we'd practiced a even front all week because that's kind of what Coach had done in the past in the places he'd been. They came out in an odd front, so there's a little adjustment there. Mekhi Stevens had a seam route where he's wide open, and Armani just overthrew him a little too jacked up. So hopefully just getting that first game jitters, out, us being a little more settled in.
Mm-hmm.
This team we've seen on film this year where you hadn't seen Southern Utah, so it took us a minute to adjust to it.
Sure.
He should be able to settle in and go.
No doubt. If you're just joining us, UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez, huge game this weekend. Make no mistake about it.
Very big
against
game.
Arkansas State at Sam Boyd Stadium. One thing I did notice last week, Coach, and we talked about this before, is the fact that Armani has to stay healthy. I did see a lot of sliding and getting those first downs, and sometimes that extra couple of yards. Sometimes it's not worth it with your starting quarterback. It seemed like he really is buying into that, and I noticed that last week where he wasn't trying to get that extra couple of yards where he could have gotten clocked.
He's more conscious of his health.
Yeah, and that's got to be something you guys are always talking about, huh?
We are. You've just seen him. If you've watched Rebel football the last couple of years, when he's in the game, we got a chance to beat anybody we're playing, and he's a special guy, but he's got to be out there. So for him to understand that, and and use the savviness to go ahead and slide a couple of times. And tell you what's scary though, is you watch that Stanford game, and Costello goes down and slides, and he still gets knocked out.
I saw that. Yeah,
it's we've talked about that. The difference between sliding feet first and head first, and I think it kind of depends on kind of where the intercept's coming from. So he did a good job. He's got to continue to do that. If we can take 5 or 6 or 7 of those fits off a game through the attrition of 12-week schedule, that's a big deal.
I agree, and he's a big enough guy at 6'5". He'll get 2 yards every time he does that. One stat I noticed was that Southern Utah ran the ball, and I realize they're not a huge program or anything, but they ran the ball 38 times. They only got 50 yards on the ground. How have you changed your run defense?
Well, I tell you what, one of the biggest things was when you look at pitch count, right? When I say pitch count, I mean the amount of plays each player played. That's the first time since I've been here that we've been able to completely roll our defensive line, roll a lot of linebackers in. When you look at guys and, the amount of snaps they played, like you look at Nick Dashian who started at the end, he only played 28 snaps. That's a big deal. In the past, he would have had to take the full load of, 70-some-odd plays. So having guys that are able to go ahead and rotate in and out like that, that's a big deal. You got Kolo Yusike, and you got Tavis Malakias, and just having having the Montrese Johns, Dominion Ezenwa, just having those guys be able to rotate in and out, kept the guys fresh. And we are Coach Mano in the weight room has done a phenomenal job. We look different. We are bigger and we're stronger, more explosive than we've been.
And that's huge. Okay, so Coach, looking ahead again to Saturday, what do you see in this game as the big key to your team's success against Arkansas State Saturday night in order to get the W? What is the one thing that comes to your mind where you say, man, we got to do a better job of this? If we handle this, we put ourselves in a great position to win the game.
Well, the amount of times they throw the ball and the amount of times they throw the ball down the field, we've got to be really good on the back end. Part of that's going to be making sure we get pressure on that quarterback. We can't allow him just to settle in and be stationary back there. He'll put some balls in jeopardy at times, but he's got a really strong arm. We got to be able to take advantage of that. So I think it's really, real big key in this game is continue to play good run defense, but not giving up explosive plays in the passing game. That's kind of what they did last week. And then offensively, obviously we kind of hang our hat, being able to run the football, have for many years here. But if we're going to take it to that next level, we're going to have to be able to throw the ball down the football field with some consistency to win the football game. And then, obviously on special teams, which team is going to make the play. Last week, their game against SMU returns a kick for a touchdown. That's kind of, difference there. And they also fumbled the punt. They turned over to SMU, so that was big in their game. Our game, there wasn't as many relatives just because of the score, but we're going to have to do something to kind of move the needle there too.
So I'm going to switch it up to recruiting real quick. How important is it to recruits from your perspective right now, and how are you selling this to recruits that UNLV is moving to an NFL stadium in 2020?
Yeah, well, we talk about just the whole the whole trajectory of this whole program. We've recruited really well, and you can see that on the field now these last couple of years. And now with this new class coming in, this class is going to kick off their whole career in the new stadium. They're coming to the Fertitta Football Complex, which has been even bigger on the recruiting trail. Those kids walking through there and seeing where they're going to be 365. So when you add those two pieces to a program that's that's chipping away and getting better, we go out, have the year we know we're capable of having. Get ourselves in the postseason, moving into a new facility, then right after that, getting ready to move into the new stadium. I think there's a lot of good things going on, and it gives us a great opportunity to go ahead and get some, really talented players and, create that volume of athletes that you need to sustain success.
No doubt. Well, Coach, thank you so much. Always gracious with your time with us. We really do appreciate it. Good luck Saturday night. Go kick some butt. I know we will be there watching it. Huge game Saturday night at Sam Boyd. Thanks again, Coach, for your time.
Appreciate you guys having me on. Go Rebels.
All right.
Thanks a lot, Coach.
There you go. UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez. He's talking fast today. I kind of like that.
I think Tony Sanchez is the right guy for the job. I love talking to him, and he actually gets me kind of excited about UNLV football, which is hard to do.
Well, I've said this before, and trust me, I haven't always said this about coaches that have been over here at UNLV, but I've been very consistent with this with Coach Sanchez. I think he's a really good guy, really easy guy to root for, and you want this team to succeed. But let's be honest, and let's call it for what it is. This is his 5th year. He has to make a bowl game. Even he knows this. Everyone at that university knows this for the most part, and everyone in Vegas should know this. If he doesn't make a bowl game, he's not going to keep his job. And that is why I say make no mistake about it. This game on Saturday is enormous. If there ever was a Week 2 game that is enormous, they had to start this season 2-0. They have to. They have to win this game on Saturday. If you're 1-1, it is going to make it almost, in my opinion, and I could be wrong on this, but almost impossible for them to be bowl eligible.
I'll tell you this: Northwestern is going to be a much more reasonable game than people think. They cannot pass the ball at all.
Northwestern is a much better football team.
I'm just hear me out, Brian. They cannot pass the ball. They run the ball a lot, and run defense apparently is this team's strength. And if they have 10, 11 deep on their D-line and they can rotate like that and they can be fresh, they'll be in that game.
That is a big if. And yes, if they lose on Saturday and they beat Northwestern, you can cross out the loss. But all I'm saying is you don't want to put yourself in that position.
Well, my worry is with this team, Southern Utah passed 60% against them with 2 touchdowns. Arkansas State's got a great wide receiver core, and those guys may play, they may not play, and that quarterback can throw, and they throw the ball a lot. I'm thinking it's going to be a high-scoring game, and it's possible that Arkansas State could go for 5 or 6 touchdowns through the air if they don't figure out the pass defense. But I'm very impressed with the run defense.
What I would say about UNLV is they cannot get hurt in any position. They are not deep. They're just not. Good starters out there, both sides of the football. They are not deep in many positions, and they have to stay healthy. I think that is the key to this season, and it starts with Armani Rogers. He has to be healthy. They have to be healthy. And I believe if they are, they will make a bowl game this year. The over-under on wins this year was 4. I love the over. There is no reason why they should not be bowl eligible this year if they get the job done Saturday. And if they beat the teams that they are supposed to beat, they should be able to make a bowl game. But make no mistake about it, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. And sadly, like I said before, I'll say it again. And Desiree Reed-Francois, the athletic director at UNLV, has made it pretty clear in her comments. I mean, read between the lines. If he doesn't make a bowl game this year, he is most likely not going to be back next year. We want him to make a bowl game. We want Tony Sanchez to succeed. We do.
You know who's probably also not likely to be back next year is Desiree Reed-Francois.
Well,
because she is looking for bigger jobs, and that's been abundantly clear for a while.
Most likely,
I think if they win 6 games and Rodgers gets hurt late in the season, he'll still come back. But if they go 4-8, they go 5-7, they go 3-9, absolutely not. But no. I think that they go 6-6 or 5 or even 5-7, and they get a win like a Northwestern, and Rodgers gets hurt.
Well, the Nevada game
that's a very big game.
When I looked at this schedule, I looked at 2 games that they have to make a bowl game. This was one of them on Saturday. I look at the Arkansas State game, and then I look at the Nevada-Reno game. Those are 2 games they have to have. And I think if they win on Saturday, they put themselves in a pretty good spot. No guarantees. But, yeah, I'm going to say this right now. Barring any major injuries, which you really can't control, I think on Saturday, if they get the W, I'm very confident that they become bowl eligible. And in week 2, I'm going to say that. If they lose on Saturday, I think they're really behind the 8 ball. And I know you don't want to put undue pressure on your kids, and I understand the way he answered that question. He knows how big of a game this is. This is a huge game on Saturday, make no mistake about it, against a beatable team, but a good football team. And by the way, he's absolutely right. Arkansas State would be a top echelon team. Not saying they would be the best team, but they would certainly be a top echelon team in the Mountain West. And, JD, I'm sure you agree with that, right? Arkansas State would be up there.
Yeah, they'd be a top 3 or 4 team.
Right, and that's a top echelon team. So this is a huge, huge game on the schedule. Enormous. Enormous game on the schedule. By the way, we're also covering the breaking Raider news, if you haven't already heard, in regards to Antonio Brown allegedly threatening to hit. I mean, this is unbelievable. Physically threatening to hit the Raiders general manager.
Who's one of the most respected men in all of football, Mike Mayock.
Yeah.
is almost Mel Kiper-esque with his ability to really evaluate and predict draft picks. And Antonio Brown is just embarrassing himself right now. This is bad. So, I don't think he makes it to Vegas. I said it was 50-50. I don't think he makes it to Las Vegas.
We'll talk. I want you to talk about this in detail. We will with Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports coming up at the bottom of the hour. But when we come back, we'll take a quick break. You're not going to believe this is wild. Congressman Steve King, he's drinking out of a toilet, folks, and it has something to do with Ocasio-Cortez. We've got the audio to prove it coming up next year. You're listening to the Vegas Take on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
If your retirement plan is on set it and forget it, it's time to take control. Tune in for Financial Safari with America's Wealth Coach and best-selling author, Coach Pete D'Arruda. For more than 25 years, Coach Pete has been helping people just like you plan for retirement. Join Coach Pete every week as he discusses topics like why your retirement plan should also be an income plan and how to make sure you're getting the most out of your 401k.
Financial Safari with Coach Pete, Saturday morning at 10 a.m. on 101.5 FM, 720 a.m. KDON.
Men, for some of us, intimacy is over quicker than we or our partners would like. This may be due to a condition known as PE. PE is not a sign of weakness. It's a true medical condition that can lead to avoidance of intimacy and strained relationships. Unfortunately, there are no FDA-approved treatments for PE, but doctors in Las Vegas are hoping to change that and are conducting a research study of an investigational medication hoped to treat it. So if intimacy ends much sooner than you'd like it to, why not learn if you're eligible to participate in this study at absolutely no cost to you? Visit LastLongerStudy.com or call 702-483-7171 to learn more. Your call will be handled discreetly by a medical professional. 702-483-7171. That's 702-483-7171.
Looking for that perfect new piece of furniture for your home? A New Concept Furniture is the place to start and end your search. They'll beat any price on the internet, and they're here locally so you can feel what you're buying first. Go to A New Concept Furniture today at 4255 South Grand Canyon to see for yourself the slick, modern, shiny store that mirrors our shiny city. A New Concept. Check out their showroom or call them at 702-570-2240. That's 702-570-2240.
Sean Hannity.
It happens in elections and it happens with Supreme Court nominees. And that is the lies, the slander. This is what the left in America is now reduced to.
Sean Hannity. Weekdays noon to 3 on 101.5 FM, 720 AM. The talk of Las Vegas.
Hi, this is Sabrina Chapman inviting you to join me every Sunday from noon to 12:30 p.m. for my new show, Mommies, Meetings, and Mimosas. We'll be interviewing the leading Las Vegas ladies that are handling business and motherhood like a boss. Only on 101.5 FM, 720 KDON.
Okay, men, time to be an all-star caregiver. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, be there emotionally and physically. Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find care guides at aarp.org/caregiving. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDON.
All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro coming up here in just a few minutes. We'll be joined by Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports, the latest on this Antonio Brown situation. We'll get to that coming up here in just a few. Republican Representative Steve King, who apparently represents Klan members across the valley with the racist remarks he's made time and time again. It's amazing this guy is still in office. Well, yesterday he drank from a toilet that also serves as a water fountain during a recent visit to a migrant detention facility. And here's what he had to say. This is audio of Representative Steve King himself.
I actually went into that cell where it was reported that they were advised they had to drink out of the toilet. I took a drink out of there, and it's actually pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah, there you go. The racist himself, Steve King. So after visiting detention facilities in Texas, Alexander Ocasio-Cortez, if you recall, and several other members of Congress said Customs and Border Patrol officers were telling detained women to drink out of the toilet. That has been proved as fact. That is absolute fact. So what this guy does is he posts out a video drinking from a toilet, Steve King. Guy's a complete moron. He also claimed that there was no way that Ocasio-Cortez has been objectively honest when she swore under oath in July that some detainees told her during a visit to one facility that they were drinking out of toilet bowls. That was proven actually to be correct. So Stephen King is 100% incorrect on that. Ocasio-Cortez took to Twitter, obviously. She wasn't delighted by this video. She said, there's a genre of videos where GOP House members who clearly didn't read sworn testimony that detention sinks were broken, filming themselves drinking out of toilet sinks. They're so anti-immigrant, they risk pink eye to show off. That is what Ocasio-Cortez said in her tweet on social media going after Steve King. By the way, you can dislike Ocasio-Cortez all you want to. The bottom line is Steve King is no better than a Klan member. He's no better than David Duke with the atrocious, I'm talking atrocious things that he has said in regards to minorities and African Americans. This man is a blatant racist. I've never gone on the air and said that about Donald Trump. I've said Donald Trump has said some racist things. Yeah. I've never called Donald Trump a blatant racist or a Klan member. But I'm going to tell you right now, Steve King is right there, my friend, right there. And I've got the quotes to back it up. And all the Republicans have shamed him. Most of them, anyway, have shamed him.
He's an absolute embarrassment.
The fact that he is still in office is disgusting. And then we see him drinking out of a toilet, trying to discredit Ocasio-Cortez. Ocasio-Cortez is right. You could disagree with her policies. I don't agree with them. I don't agree with everything she says. In fact, when she compared these detention centers to, the days of Adolf Hitler and called them concentration camps, I thought she was way out of line doing that. Look, in those concentration camps, people were being executed. People were being burned alive. Okay, 7 million Jews died. You cannot make a statement like that and consider people out there to take what you say seriously. But with that being said, I would rather listen to Ocasio-Cortez talk about policy than talk about the racist, which is Steve King. Make no mistake about it. This guy is a blatant racist. The fact that he is still in office, to me, it just shows you, goes to show you the times that we are living in this country where you could, what does it take? What does it take to throw somebody out of office? Does he have to go on social media and call an African-American the N-word? Would that be good enough? Or maybe not. Maybe he would still be in office. Really, in this day and age, what does it take to be kicked out? Bill Clinton lied about, getting you-know-what in the Oval Office by Monica Lewinsky. He lied about that, and he was gone. This guy, Stephen King, has blatantly made racist remarks. Make no mistake about it.
He's a great writer.
Well, if we're talking about Stephen King, I would agree with you. But Steve King, a completely different scenario, that's for sure. And then this guy's, drinking out of a toilet, trying to discredit Ocasio-Cortez. Why doesn't this guy just go away? Go to your Klan meetings every week and just get the hell out of office.
It's clear he doesn't take himself seriously or his position in the government seriously. And yeah, he's trying to downplay the conditions, which are terrible. They shouldn't be drinking out of toilets, for God's sakes. There should be actual drinking fountains or even very, very inexpensive Arrowhead bottled water or something along those lines. But he's trying to downplay it by saying, oh, yeah, this is totally fine. The guy's just a joke. I'm conservative. I'm a Republican. I'm from Iowa. I grew up in Iowa. This guy is a congressman in my home state, and I have no reason. I don't understand why he's still even trying to be a politician, because he clearly isn't. And I almost wonder if it's just kind of a running troll joke at this point, because no one takes him seriously and clearly doesn't take himself seriously. And, yeah, it's hard to argue that he's not racist at this point.
He goes on to talk about the fake news spin about the border, talking about how, everyone's being treated fairly when people are dying. You have kids at the border, 11, 12, 13 years old, that are babysitting 1- and 2-year-olds. You have some that haven't taken showers in weeks. Some of these kids don't have bars of soap. They don't have the proper medical help that they need. This is a catastrophe. It is a horrible situation. And in a perfect world, I wish everyone would cross the border legally. In a perfect situation, I wish we knew who all these people are. Well, guess what? We're not in a perfect situation. But for God's sakes, is this America or not? We need to help the people, especially those that are seeking asylum. And Stephen King drinking out of a toilet is not the answer to make it. Oh, well, Steve King he's credible, right? Well, let's just believe him. Let's believe what he has to say. Anyway, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, the breaking news. about Antonio Brown. Oh, and by the way, O.J. Simpson just had some remarks on it. We'll get to that, too, coming up next with Mike Babcock from TMZ Sports. Take a quick break. We'll be back right after this.